Hello and welcome to Texas, USA. This time we're going to be telling you about some of the great work that's going on here at Chocolate Bayou and our battleground manufacturing sites of O&P USA. As always, we'll be bringing you the latest news from across the INEOS group. This is the show that takes you inside INEOS. This is INTV. Coming up on INTV, we'll hear all about the huge investment going on here in Texas and the groundbreaking projects resulting from that.
It's actually the first new build plant within the INEOS system.
We'll be putting your big questions to the INEOS chairman, Jim Ratcliffe.
I mean, things have improved a bit in Europe because we've seen $50 oil, and that obviously is a bit of a stimulus to industry worldwide.
We'll meet the INEOS employees who are driving our charity initiatives, both on the fairway and in rescue vehicles.
The current donation, we are giving 1 ambulance and 4 fire trucks.
We'll be in northern Spain to understand more about the world's first marine engine built to run entirely on ethane.
They will be the first vessels carrying ethane as a cargo and burning the ethane also in the engines for propulsion power.
And of course, we'll bring you the latest news and insight from INEOS, the word for chemicals. Each edition of INTV comes to you from a different INEOS site. And as always, I'm joined by a local INEOS employee from the area. This month, I'm with Keisha Benjamin, a technical service engineer. So Keisha, tell me, what's happening here in the south?
Chocolate Bayou and battleground manufacturing sites are the 2 largest sites here in Texas. We've got some big investments, so a lot of exciting developments. Let's check it out.
O&P USA has undergone some huge changes recently. The pace of that change is not showing any signs of slowing down. The first in a series of major investments was an upgrade to the existing pipeline system.
Annually, we move about 13.5 billion pounds of feedstock and products. We recently just finished an exciting project that brings in purity ethane, capable of 80,000 barrels a day, to the Chocolate Bayou cracker.
The new pipeline will be owned and operated by INEOS and will supply the recently completed furnace at Chocolate Bayou.
The structure behind me is the latest, the newest of our furnaces. It joins 10 others at the number 2 olefins unit. This furnace is important to our site because it brings us additional ethylene capacity. It has reduced our fixed costs. It's improved our variable cost position. It's lowered our working capital, and it's also allowed us to reduce our NOx emissions.
In order to capitalize on this extra product, the unprecedented Gemini project has been set in motion. In a joint venture with Sasol, INEOS is constructing a massive new high-density polyethylene unit at its battleground manufacturing complex.
The project's really exciting because it's actually the first new build plant within the INEOS system. So this will be a new grassroots plant and not an acquisition, which is what we've kind of developed or built the business on in the past. So we got a lot of growth opportunities taking place here. This is a world scale unit, and when we're done, it'll basically be the largest of its kind in North America. We will produce 1 billion pounds of polyethylene on this project.
This is quite exciting for our team, seeing new builds. We're planning on additional furnaces in the future, so this is just, we hope, the first of many.
So Dennis, we're standing here outside the new furnace. We've seen a bit about the Gemini project, we've heard about the pipeline. This must be a really exciting time for O&P USA.
It is. It's an incredibly exciting time, Tom. It's a time of unprecedented growth, and manufacturing renaissance is in full swing in the U.S., and we're no exception. From our perspective, the way we play this game is to build site scale. So everything we do is really in service to our large site here at Chocolate Bayou and up at Battleground. We continue to build on that and capture the advantages it brings by bringing additional capacity and connectivity here to this site.
And tell me a little bit about the efficiency. How hard is it to focus on efficiency when you've got all this new work, new build going on?
It's at the core of what we do, and we can't lose sight of that, and we haven't. So we continue to drive efficiency, and we've reduced our flaring 60%. We're 17% more energy efficient than we were 10 years ago, and we continue to push on that.
So all this going on, all these projects, you're going to have a break when this is finished?
Well, I don't suppose we're going to take a break, but what we're going to do is continue to refocus our strategy and move forward. And the sky's the limit. There could be some new units in our future. There could be some new derivative plants as well.
So Dennis, you're clearly very, very busy, so we're going to let you get on with things. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us. And now it's time for news across the INEOS group. We're starting in London, England.
INEOS held its annual investor meeting at the Grosvenor Hotel in London.
I think one of the key things to talk about is our recent refinancing that we've done. So that's enabled us to reduce our overall interest cost by approximately 80 million per annum as well, which is great news.
The day is important for our investors because you want to look somebody in the eye, particularly if you're going to lend them hundreds of millions of euros.
It's very unique in the way they approach their investors and the level of information that they're prepared to give. It's a great company to work with, and we're very pleased to work with them.
Here in the US, the graduate recruitment scheme for 2015 is gearing up to attract this fall's best engineers with its campus recruitment events.
Campus recruiting is a great way to get talent into the organization. You bring a fresh perspective. One of the great things about INEOS is that we allow the campus hires to have a real experience from day one. They get real opportunity that at other companies they might not get for 2 or 3 years, but they get it starting day one with us.
It gives us an opportunity to build for the future. We're really bringing them in because they're the next generation of leaders for INEOS.
Here in Texas, we're passionate about helping our local communities. Earlier, we caught up with some of our colleagues to find out what projects they're involved in. At INEOS, we have strong relationships with our suppliers and buyers. One of these partnerships is with Sunrise Plastics, a Vietnamese company with a base here in Houston. Over the last few years, we've been able to extend this relationship by getting involved in a very important project.
INEOS has been doing business with Sunrise for over 15 years. Our commercial vice president learned about FON's project to take used emergency vehicles over to Vietnam to aid in the local areas there that didn't have such equipment. The INEOS board realized that we were changing out some equipment at the plants and decided to donate some of our older vehicles. They've served well, but no longer meet the regulations of the states.
Piece of equipment from America, 30, 40 years, it still work good. It's solid, big engine, it's all perfect. So everything that donate, like this piece of equipment, it'll make a lot of difference.
In the current donation, we are giving 1 ambulance and 4 fire trucks. These vehicles are going to be very valuable to Mr. Fon in the furtherance of his goal. We just think it's been a great partnership and hope it continues long into the future.
Jennifer Wolf works at INEOS's Chocolate Bayou site and 4 years ago set up ICANN, a committee dedicated to giving back to the local communities.
There's a variety of activities that we put on every year that volunteers can get involved with. Our employees do anything from power washing outside, hanging new light fixtures, you name it, we'll do it. 2.5 years ago, the ICANN committee decided to hold its first charity golf tournament.
Back in 2013, we started off as a small group of volunteers. The day of the event, we were able to raise $25,000 for the Nehemiah Center. They bring a lot of the kids every day after school because sometimes they don't have a meal to eat at the end of the day. The second year was even better. We were able to raise $55,000. It just warmed my heart. I just was so happy just to know that we're able as an organization to put on something this special.
I think it's great that INEOS supports its employees' desire to lend a hand in our communities. I'm very excited to be a part of it.
It's great to see our employees getting involved in such amazing projects.
These are some inspiring stories. It really makes you feel good to be a part of INEOS. If you or anyone you know would like to feature in a future show, let your HR manager know.
Now, INTV is the program where we put your questions to Jim Ratcliffe. I caught up with him a few days ago with the latest batch. So the first question comes from Clark Carter at INEOS ABS Addiston. Given the extremely high proportion of NGLs in the liquids from US shale wells, isn't this the best place on the planet to invest in petrochemicals?
I think the answer to that is yes, it probably is. If you're investing in petrochemical plants, that probably is the best place, yeah. You've got low feedstock costs, low energy costs, and you know, it's a very sophisticated place to build new assets. And if the thrust of the question was, is not the US the place to invest in shale itself? We have looked at that, but the price levels of getting into the shale business in the US are quite high. But there may be some very interesting opportunities in the UK, which is why we've invested in at least the exploration rights in the UK in shale.
Following on from that, there's another sort of UK-related question. So we've just had an election in the UK. What do you think are the main issues affecting industry that you'd like to see this new government focusing on? Absolutely, the one at the top of the list has to be energy in the UK, where we don't today, in my view, have a clear energy policy. And it really is one of the more important roles of government is to deliver competitive energy. I think shale obviously is one of the potential answers in the UK, and I think this government will be quite enthusiastic about shale because you can see the impact that shale has had in the United States in industries which depend on energy and feedstocks. Moving out to sort of wider European politics then, a question from Paul Harry at INEOS Enterprises. Has anything changed following your open letter to the President of the Commission, Mr. Barroso, about the state of European petrochemicals? I mean, things have improved a bit in Europe because we've seen $50 oil, and that obviously is a bit of a stimulus to industry worldwide compared to $100 oil. And we've seen a devaluation of the euro, which has also helped in Europe. So we're a bit more optimistic, but there's still a way to go on the energy and feedstock front in Europe where the thinking is not very clear in my view. Okay, I've got a number of people ask this similar question, but this one is from Paul Wachtendorf in Nitros at Green Lake. Why are we doing away with the tracker shares? The original idea behind the tracker shares was if a business was successful, we'd share the upside with the employees. So if you happen to have been in the right place, in the right business that's had a good few years because the cycle's been favourable, then you've done very, very well in the tracker shares. But if you've been in a business where the cycle hasn't been favourable, but despite that, you know, these people have worked just as hard and just as vigorously, but their tracker shares have not yielded anything. So we decided that wasn't really how it was supposed to work. I think what we'll do is we'll focus more on the bonus scheme, which is a much fairer way of rewarding people. And probably the most important question I saved till last, which is bacon roll, brown sauce or red sauce? Brown sauce. Man from the north. Thank you, Jim.
If you have any questions for Jim, please get in touch. The contact details are on the screen now.
In our last programme, we outlined our ambitious plans to bring US ethane into Europe, including the construction of breakthrough new ships to make it all possible. We've just got time now to go over to Bilbao in Spain and find out how our partners are getting on there.
On the northwest coast of Spain in the port of Bermeo, a radical engineering project is underway. INEOS and its partners are creating a world first in engine design to power its fleet of Dragon-class vessels built to ship ethane from the US to Europe.
These ships will be groundbreaking. The design is state of the art.
They will be the first vessels carrying ethane as a cargo and burning the ethane also in the engines for propulsion power.
This industry first will revolutionise the way ships are powered in the future. Not only is ethane environmentally friendly, but it will allow INEOS to streamline its operation in 3 ways. It will create the flexibility to make use of cheap ethane fuel, cut out the need to refuel, and create more space on board for cargo. Today, after months of planning, Wärtsilä will push the engine to the extreme.
The vessels will be sailing in the North Atlantic Sea, which has rather harsh sailing conditions, large waves, cold temperatures, so we need to be very sure that the engines work reliably. So today we will be doing certain tests related to the ability the engine has to take power. So we will be suddenly loading the engine and suddenly deloading the engine to check this functionality.
Increase to 65% load.
The groundbreaking W50 dual-fuel engine needs to propel the vessel and 29 million litres of liquid ethane in harsh conditions. It has to cope with sudden power loss and be able to accelerate up to 20 knots. Finally, it needs to deliver the equivalent horsepower of over 80 high-performance cars.
Go to gas mode.
It's been a lot of firsts. It's been exciting, but it's also been a lot of hard work.
This program is finalized. Excellent results. We can stop the engine right now.
The test is complete and successful. The next stage is on board, facing the sea in their first voyage in 2 months' time.
You've got your work cut out for you to get those operational in time.
We certainly do, particularly when you think the first of those ships is going to be delivered in July. In fact, the next edition of INTV will be coming from Shanghai, where we're going to be covering the naming and launching of those new vessels. So I hope you'll be watching out for that edition coming very soon. Keisha, thank you very much for taking the time to show us around here in Texas.
Tom, it's been a pleasure.
Until next time, it's goodbye from us here in Texas.
Bye, y'all.